on the state of education, academic freedom, and Zinasu's fight for social justice. My name is Tapiwana Shechiriga, and I happen to be the Secretary General of the Zimbabwe National Students Union. And I have with me five student leaders from various institutions of higher learning. I have with me Boris Tadiwanashe Muguti, who is MSU chapter chairperson for Zinasu. I also have with me Kaylee Zenta, who is also a student leader from Mutale Polytechnic College. I also have with me Wisiso Kanye, who is from the Great Zimbabwe University. I also have with me Ronald Ngube, who is from Mutare Teachers College. We also have Panashe Dandira, who is from Indura.
tinobhadhara hatingodezvei kuti unotengesa inonzi unoita 2 chete aiwa dzoda kuwanda so that you control kuti every month unenge uchitengesa nyama.
Comrade Atherson. Okay, he is now mute. We also have, lastly, Christine Maluza, who is also from Pindura University of Science Education. Once again, welcome to our weekly discussion. We are going to be having these discussions every week on Friday, same time. Our apologies for starting late. We were waiting for some of our panelists to be part of us. Now, Comrade Boris, are you here?
Yes, I am following Comrade Secretary General.
Okay, my question is, you will be my first panelist as per our list. Our, under, our understanding as the Zimbabwe National Students Union is that merely having institutions of learning that are not accessible and affordable is not exactly the best description of education. And education must be affordable and accessible to all who seek to pursue it. And in the absence of academic freedom, the quality of education becomes very much compromised, if not non-existent, in many instances. Now, to you, Comrade Boris, what exactly is your understanding of academic freedom in the context of the Midland State University and the province from which you come?
Okay, thank you so very much, Comrade Secretary General. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are very audible. Please proceed.
I think from its own definition, academic freedom refers to the fact that the political, the religious, and the philosophical beliefs of politicians, the administrators, and the members of the public cannot be imposed on students or certain faculties in institutions of higher learning. So I think from the perspective of the Midland State University, from the situation that is at the Midland State University, from the things that are transpiring at the Midland State University, right now we can see what is the opposite of the thing we call academic freedom, because academic freedom itself allows the students to be part and parcel of the decision-making processes at institutional level. But we have seen at the Midland State University, of course, an administration which is not ready to consult the students, an administration which just sits down and impose things on the students. But I'm talking about the issue of registration dates. I think you saw we wrote some letters trying to pursue, trying to make sure that they push the dates from December to actually January. Comrade Secretary General, can you hear me?
Yes, you are very audible. Please proceed, Comrade Boris.
Okay, so those are things we are talking about. We have an administration which is not ready to consult the students, which is not ready to take the students on board to make sure that we also participate in decision making. That is the character of the administration that we are dealing with, Comrade Secretary General at the Midland State University.
Okay, thank you very much. I would seek to pose a question to a student who is from a teacher's college. Comrade Ronald Ngube, are you ready? Are you here? Okay, I would pass the question to Comrade Kelly Zenda. Comrade Kelly Zenda, are you? Please unmute yourself.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, please. What is your understanding of academic freedom, and to what extent have you enjoyed this freedom in general before and under lockdown at your institution of learning? I understand that you're from Mutare Polytechnic College.
Yes, that's very much correct. Okay, first and foremost, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please proceed.
Okay, first and foremost, when we're talking about academic freedom, this means that it has nothing to do with gender, sexuality, or race in any case. We are supposed to be able to talk our minds, speak our views without fear of the state being able to impose on whatever we think, or even the professors telling us that no, you can't think like this. You have limitations in a specific area. Of which this is some of the challenges that we're facing as students. Why? Because so long there's a fear in a classroom, then there's no progress at all. Of which what we need right now is a classroom whereby we can express our feelings, we can express our emotions freely, not being afraid that at the end of the day, my education is going to be jeopardized because there's someone else that thinks differently than me. Hello?
Yes, we are hearing you. Please proceed. Are you done?
No, I'm not done. Okay. And then another challenge that we're facing in Mutare Poly is an issue of biasness, right? When we're talking about biasness is we're led to think in a specific area. And if you go against what the state or what the state says, then that becomes a problem at the school. And then we also lacking privileges. Why? Because at the end of the day, we're not able to say what we think because my dreams are going to be swashed, or in the near future I can't get recommendation from the same professors that are teaching me. And then when it comes to political views, I have to stand for a specific political group. If I go against the state, or if I go against what my administration think, then that becomes a problem, right? But what we actually need is professors, the state, and the school at large being able to interact with us, having a dialogue, communicating with us that no, this is what we are planning to do. Like Comrade Boris has said, when they choose the SRC president at institutions, they should be able to communicate with us and not discriminate people from campaigning to become the president, or not only because of certain certain issues that they're saying no, you can't participate because we're going to jeopardize your education and all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Comrade Kelly. I would pose a slightly different question to Comrade Christine. Are you there? Hello? Is Christine here? Okay, I would pass it to Panashe Dandira from Bindura University of Science Education. Is Panashe in here? Please unmute yourself.
Yes.
Um, how far have you enjoyed the right to academic freedom? I understand that Section 62 of the Constitution precisely and aptly captures the right to academic freedom. How much have you enjoyed academic freedom, especially in the context of the COVID-19 imposed lockdown?
Well, firstly, my understanding of academic freedom is that both faculty members and students can engage in intellectual debate without fear of censorship or retaliation, and also that students and the faculty have a right to express or challenge each other's views and not penalize each other. Well, as for me and other students from my institution, I cannot say we've been able to enjoy academic freedom because it is only up to the faculty to make decisions on methods of learning, and the content of learning. Students do not have a voice. For example, some lecturers say that you're supposed to use Zoom when other students cannot afford to attend Zoom lectures. So we cannot say there's freedom there because the students are not given a chance to suggest other methods of learning. Like, for example, they can say other students can only afford WhatsApp. So I can say we're enjoying academic freedom at our institution. And
Okay, thank you very much.
when you stand up for your rights,
Please proceed.
yes, they will say that you are being an enemy of progress.
So, to my understanding, what you just said is that when you seek to pursue your right to academic freedom, you are certainly being labeled an enemy of progress,
Yes.
which means that there are people within the education sector and the academic circles who actually think that academic freedom actually hinders progress. My next question to you, Panashi, would be: what kind of progress would there be if there is no freedom to pursue that progress?
There wouldn't be progress.
There will not be any progress. Thank you very much. My understanding also, Comrade Ronald says he has network problems. Is he now here? Comrade Ronald, are you here?
Yes, I'm here, comrade.
Okay, thank you very much, Ronald. If you
Hello.
can hear me, Comrade Ronald, are you clear on the network?
Yeah,
Okay,
for
you
now I
are
think
from a
I'm
teachers
okay.
college. You are the only member from it. Okay, you are a member of the Zimbabwe National Students Union, and you are from a teachers college,
Yes,
from Mutare Teachers College. What exactly is
yes,
your own
from
understanding and speaking on behalf of the members of our members from Mutare Teachers College, of course? What's your understanding of academic freedom, number one, and how much have you enjoyed academic freedom at Mutare Teachers College generally since you enrolled, and also in the context of the COVID-19 imposed lockdown?
all right. First of all, I think generally we when we talk about the academic freedom, I think it's just being able to to fully express yourself, your views, your opinions, your thoughts, what you hear on the street, and then try and express it to the best of your abilities without having visit you. Somebody will give you a call, or somebody will label you that you are on this side of the political divide, or on the other side of the political divide, where you can just express yourself and everyone understands that no, you are just a student. You want to find a measure of development, or you want to take your community and your society forward, basically. I think that would be the understanding that I have of academic freedom is enshrined in. And then moving on with the question, in terms of my immediate community now, generally been having
Because you're also
national scale,
you're
historically, something you
the
could
which is from
Comrade,
I'm just there, I would say maybe so confused. But
SDG Liga, since you are hosting, can you please unmute those who have not muted their mics? It's quite disturbing.
I'm trying to mute it. It's not twice.
here or favor, I think twice, your expectations, generally all that. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Please proceed. Yes,
Okay.
continue. We have since muted.
So I'm saying we still we we have been having a historical challenge, where generally everyone was seemingly afraid of expressing themselves, because you would get a phone call there, apparently you would fail here, you would fail there, because we've been so afraid, or a lot of people have been so afraid in our community to fully express themselves. And it was clear to me, even when we you start first year, you are introduced to national and strategic studies. That's a very controversial aspect where you could see that even in the theater, very few people want to express an alternative point of view, and you would find, maybe one or two of us, being able to engage with the lecturer on that level. And even when you finish, when you're walking around with your peers would seem amazed, and that is generally what we've been having. But so far within my community, over time, with engagement and dialogue with the authorities, I felt that we were making progress, especially on the bigger scale, where we could engage even on social terms without fear or favor of getting a phone call after or getting a visit after. Hello.
Okay, thank Comrade Ronald. Are you done? Comrade Ronald is now mute. I am assuming that he is done with his presentations. Now, Comrade Wusiso, can you please unmute your mic? Comrade Wusiso, we can't hear you. Okay,
SG.
Comrade, can you move to someone
Yeah,
else?
probably maybe he or she is facing network challenges. You can then tell Comrade Busiso that he or she can type their contributions on the chat box so that you can just revisit them after giving others a chance to speak, and also share his or her thoughts from the chat box.
Okay, let me mute here and move our question to Christine from Pinjura University of Science Education again. Comrade Christine, I can see that you've already unmuted your mic. Our understanding, as I said earlier, is that education that is not affordable, that is not accessible, is merely the equal of simply having aimless buildings and institutions that serve no purpose to the future of this nation. Now, how far has education been accessible, number one, in terms of Section 75 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, and affordable, again, in terms of Section 75 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, particularly at Pindura University of Science Education? How far has it been accessible and affordable? Comrade Christine, it seems she also has network challenges. Maybe I could move back to Boris. Comrade Boris, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Comrade Secretary General, and I'm following.
Yes, I would pose the same question to you. How much has education been affordable and accessible to you in terms of Section 75 and the varying and various legal instruments that are international in nature that say that you, as
Can you
a
hear me?
citizen, hello?
Okay, Corporate Secretary General, I think it takes us back to the thing that I was talking about, whereby there was a line of segregation which was drawn between the sons and daughters of the poor and the sons of and the daughters of the rich. I think in this perspective, I would like to refer to our own institution, the Bell State University. For one to access Google Class, he or she must pay 3/4 of fees so as to access online classes, so as to access notes on e-learning, so as to be able to submit assignments. So what we are saying is that it is clearly a contravention of the Constitution, as you were saying, Section 75, which talks about affordable education. What we are seeing at the Middle State University is the opposite.
Okay, I would pose the same question to you with CISO again. How far have you gone as a university, as Great Zimbabwe University, in accessing education and making sure that it is affordable? How far is it accessible at Great Zimbabwe University? Is Wusiso back online?
Can you hear me? Yes, I'm back online. I'm facing some connection challenges.
Okay, please proceed. I hope that you have heard my question.
Sorry, can you repeat it?
I am saying that Section 75 of the Constitution of the Republic of Zimbabwe expressly affords you and every other citizen of this country the right to education. But that education, particularly tertiary, higher and tertiary education, should be number one, affordable, should be number two, accessible, and it should be of the highest quality that should be afforded by the nation of Zimbabwe. Now, my question is in the context of Great Zimbabwe University, generally, and in the context of the COVID 19 lockdown, how far have you been able to access education and how far has it been affordable to the students at university? Education, but that education, particularly tertiary and higher tertiary education, should be number one, affordable, should be number two. Now, my question
Hear me?
is in the context generally and in the context of the
Hello.
COVID-19. I can hear you. Please proceed.
Okay. Yes, I was saying, from my institution, Great Zimbabwe University, we have been going through the e-learning programs through Google Class. But however, as most of you saw, there was a certain screenshot of the lecturer that was going viral in WhatsApp. If you cannot use Google Classroom, then go to Google, or if you're unable, kill yourself or get infected. Of which, whatever was said, it was only because there were certain students that were not able to access this certain platform. They only needed clarification and also education on how to use the Google Class. Of which these were responses that we got from our lecturers. These are people that are supposed to be standing by us and help us through this e-learning, as it's a new thing. It's they're trying to make it the new normal, but however, it's impossible. Because looking at only not only digital literacy, we also have internet access. There's some people that stay in rural areas. It's very difficult for them to be able to access this whole Google Class and data involved. Data is another problem, factor that we have. But however, Great Zimbabwe at some point, they managed to issue out data to the students. It wasn't effective because it got to a point, there were some of the students, especially those based in Bulawayo, we were told to go and get the data bundles at Net1, of which Net1 only opened, I think, after like 2 weeks or so after the data was issued out. And that specific data was issued for a month, and the date was fixed for every single one. So we were only those that were able to access the data managed to use it. Some were not able to use it. And even the information was not relayed there to everyone. So people could hear that there was data being issued there. We had a lot of issues. And also the other issue was an issue of fees. And if you haven't paid much of your fees, then you're not supposed to access the Google Class. Automatically, when you pay a certain amount of fees they want, then you access the Google Class. And then in this case, we have Corona lockdown, and we know our parents have been retrenched. We know some of the parents rely on vending and all that, of which this is all impossible. And this e-learning new thing that has came into picture is not really reliable or accessible to anyone, if I can say that. But however, we are all expected to say the exams again. So it's not the way to go because it doesn't really feel like we're learning.
So, Wesiso, in your view, and I am made to believe that you will be speaking also on behalf of our membership from Great Zimbabwe University. Is online learning the future? Should we stop learning or should we improve the ways that we use online learning to make sure that number one, it is accessible, number two, it is affordable? What is your view on whether or not we should continue using online learning?
Well, I think the only way learning could be effective is when we go back to the original face-to-face tutoring, because we know there are different students and students, different kind of people. Some people are slow learners; they need explanations. They need that connection with you. You have to explain to them. You have to give them examples. You have to show all that, and that is impossible with this new normal of the e-learning we have. So I think face-to-face tuition is the best and is the only way forward.
Okay, I would pose a slightly different question to Panashi. Panashi, are you there?
Yes, yeah.
I hear there is been concerns in institutions where lecturers themselves are not exactly technically equipped and sometimes even financially equipped to be able to conduct Google Classroom lessons. I would like to know the situation from Pintura University. How far have your lecturers been able to even conduct the online lectures themselves? Because from what I have heard from Boris and Wosiso is that students are not exactly able to access or afford these online lectures. Now, how much are, are your lecturers even equipped to teach you how to use them, or even them themselves to make sure that they can conduct lectures online? Are your lecturers they facing any challenges?
Well, lecturers are also facing challenges in this new normal because they are civil servants, and if we look at the money that they're getting paid, they can't afford to buy personal data bundles for their own personal use, and it's nearly impossible for them to sacrifice their own data or their own money to becoming to teachers. So they are facing challenges, and some of them just come straight up. For example, one of our lecturers just told us that I can't afford to teach you on Zoom. And then at the same time, it's not really about whether they are equipped or not, but it's about I really don't know how to put this, but then they are seeing it as a way to just be laid back, to just relax, because everybody can afford to buy WhatsApp bundles and lectures can be easily conducted on WhatsApp, but then some of them are just being laid back. They are just giving us notes and then we go through the notes by ourselves. They're not really doing their work. But then, yeah, back to your question, they can't afford data bundles, and some of them are even sacrificing. Some will stay around the university in Bindura. They're going to the campus to access Wi-Fi so that they can be able to conduct lectures. It's really hard for them. It's as hard as them to conduct the lectures. Yeah, that's
Okay,
what I
okay, Panashi. Just another question that is related to that. Um,
yes.
how uniform has been the delivery of lectures at a university? I understand. I hear that you said Google Classroom. Then the other time you said Zoom. Then I was last year when we were conducting a survey with students. Some of the students from the university said that they could actually have lectures on WhatsApp. So how uniform has been the response, particularly from Bindra University of Science Education, in as far as responding to the disruption of the academic calendar is concerned? How uniform has been the response? Are you using Zoom only? Are you using Google Classroom only, or are you using a combination of both? And it depends with the lecture.
Well, there's no uniformity. We use each lecturer chooses what they want. They've got different preferences. Someone will say let's use Zoom, the other will say let's use Google Classroom, the other will say let's use WhatsApp. But then other methods of learning tend to be more expensive than others. For example, people are complaining that Zoom is more expensive than Google Classroom. So yeah, there's no uniformity.
And what would you prefer if you were in a position to make that decision? I am of the belief that you are a member of the Students Representative Council at Pindra University of Science Education. If today Panache Dandera is to be asked which platform should Pindra use, what would you say uniformly?
Um, Platform should Bindura use, I would say WhatsApp, because WhatsApp is everyone can access WhatsApp and they can access WhatsApp at any time. You can like people are coming from different walks of life. Some live in the rural areas, and this is a season of farming. People are busy farming. Some students are working. They are working to raise money for their upkeep. So I think WhatsApp would be would be more convenient because a person can attend WhatsApp at any time, and it's easy to store data that's sent to WhatsApp, so you can use it even when it's time for exams or whenever you need it, as compared to Zoom. And then WhatsApp is cheaper, obviously. We find that WhatsApp bundles are cheap compared to data bundles. So yeah.
Oh, okay. I would pose the previous question to Comrade Kelly, seeing that she's from a polytechnic college. Comrade Kelly, how affordable and how accessible has been the modes of learning at Mutare Polytechnic College? I'm understanding that that is where you're coming from.
Yes, that's very much correct. You know, listening to other people speak, this is becoming funny because other people are actually having online lessons. But here at Mutari Polytechnic, I don't even know what this means. We don't even have lessons online, not at all, right? And then even if we did have lessons, maybe some of the lecturers have created groups, which I'm not aware of. And maybe it depends with which class you're in. I'm not sure about that, but we don't even know about this. But anyway, moving on to your question, even if we did have lessons online, how far would this be effective? Number one, most of our lecturers are of the late ages, like most of them are now in the early 50s and all. So some of them are having challenges even to use this platform, like even going on Zoom and knowing how it operates, even using the Google platform, which has been mentioned before. And then another challenge that I've actually noticed on students as well is that lecturers tend to say that they do not have money to pay for the data. So at the end of the day, they either create a group which consists of like 50 students, right? And then you're forced to pay $10 per student, right, for that lecturer to actually be able to teach you online, of which this is $50. And I'm thinking, which data are they using that costs us $50, right? And then we also talking that and then also viewing the fact that these lecturers are not even able, not all of them, but most of them are not able to know how to use the platform. This should actually tell us a lot in terms of us going back to our old way, whereby we go into class, we learn what we want, we ask questions that we want. Why? Because being online, even if I have access to Google, we're talking about illiteracy. They're big terms that I can't even pronounce, let alone know what it means, right? I'm gonna have to use the dictionary to use this word to know what this word actually means. But if I'm in class, it becomes easier for me to ask, okay, fine, you said this and this and this. What does it mean, right? Of which the other challenge that we also have in as students is that even if we at home, we're staying at home, and then you tell me that I'm going to have a lecture online, which starts at let's say 2 o'clock in the evening. If I'm at home, I'm required to be doing chores as well, right? So at the end of the day, you're gonna notice that I'm gonna miss that lecture because I'm either cooking, I'm either babysitting, or I'm either washing clothes. So what we need right now is for the state to create a platform. We already have those platforms, right? We already have places whereby we can go and study. Those are youth centers, right? If they can afford to open supermarkets like Spar and TM, whereby we bump into more than 500 people, and then they tell us that no, this is now safe because you've sanitized by the door. Why can't they do the same when it comes to youth centers? Fine, put the required measurements at youth centers. Allow us to be sanitized. Put the meters away from people so that if it's when it comes to distance, but the whole point is they create a platform whereby we can go or move away from home and have time to my education, even if it means that I'm going to be studying online the whole day. At least I know that I'm away from home, whereby if I'm to do my chores, I leave home after doing my chores and all, but I also get the platform to continue doing what I need to do at the end of the day. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm done.
Comrade SG, can you unmute your mic?
Okay, thank you very much, Comrade Ino. We are the Zimbabwe National Students Union, and our vision is an inclusive and democratic Zimbabwe with students as integral stakeholders, where students' concerns are addressed adequately and academic freedoms are upheld. Now, before we proceed to the social justice part of this webinar, I would like to. I've seen a lot of hands that have been raised. I've seen Leslie, and I've also seen Arnold. Can we it seems they have a few questions for the panelists. Can you please ask your questions before we move to the social justice part? I will start with Arnold. Arnold Mazonde.
Roughly, as far as would like to the way where students can access education now, I think we need to find a common ground where everyone is included, because not everyone can afford the gadgets that are the drivers learning. So I think we need to find a better way to this moment. That is the way to educate ourselves in this pandemic. So I think we need to find a way and to make a, a way for those who cannot afford anything, those who come from places where there is not even network, and there are challenges there. So I think they should be considered also. And we should also look at how we can help them so that they are not out and they are not left behind. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Arnold. And like I said before, Zinasu envisions an inclusive Zimbabwe. And what is education if we do not include those who are poor amongst us, who happen to be the majority in this country? Comrade Leslie, is he still in? I saw his hand up. I don't think he is still willing to speak. If there is anyone else who has a question for the panelists before we move on to the next segment, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Comrade Moyomuti, please proceed. Unmute yourself and please speak.
Okay, I wanted to ask how far we have gone in our institutions with making education available to students living with disabilities. We see we are all talking about Google Class and everything like that, but there are people who cannot hear, and there are people who cannot access notes online because they're not translated into Braille. So we see there is a group of students who are being disadvantaged from this whole new normal. What is the position? What are the steps that are going to be taken to make sure that education is accessible for all?
Okay, I think I could say honestly that the Zimbabwean education system under lockdown has been very difficult for students with disabilities. Yes, we had a conversation with the Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education last year about students with disabilities. So it was actually one of the reasons why we were saying that online learning was going to be very difficult for all of us if we proceeded without considering students who were living with disabilities. But now that you have raised it again, it is a concern that we were supposed to be engaging the minister at the end of January, but we were informed that he was not yet available. We are going back to him to make sure that we push him to find ways that can ensure that students living with a disability can also access learning because they are students just like me, just like you are, just like the rest of us in here. So every student has the right to pursue education, and we are going to be making sure that we get back to the Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education and make push so that students who cannot access these notes can still have to access business because they equally pay their tuition.
Chirika, can I ask you something?
Please do ask.
Okay. When you talk to the Minister of Education, I'm not sure if he's already answered the question, but is the state getting any funding in terms of education in the education sector? Like, do they get any funding? Because all of those questions that have been risen up in terms of disabilities, in terms of data, in terms of phones, if we were getting what do you call it? If we're getting money that's only based on the education sector, we'll be able to tackle all of those issues, right? Because if it comes to data, we should have a platform whereby all of the students are supposed to get data for free, because this is our education. This is one of our rights. When it comes to phones, the civil servants are buying phones on credit, right? Why can't they do the same when it comes to students as well?
Yes, we actually asked the Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education to enter into an arrangement with mobile network operators and every other company that could sell phones and tablets for students. We suggested that he comes up with a program where students could at least get these gadgets on loan, and they could slowly pay for them or even using their
Yes,
own fees. But
yes, that's
of
true.
course, he wasn't exactly forthcoming, just made promises like he has always been doing. But it is our duty as a student movement from wherever that we are to make sure that we push those who promise things, because issues around the gadgets were actually addressed by the minister in a live television interview. But to our chagrin and dismay, it's almost a year now and he has not done anything on that. So it is our duty again to go and push him if he has not yet delivered on his promises or undertake any further action that is allowed by the Constitution of the Republic.
Okay, thank you.
Um, Moyomuti, I'm assuming that your hand is still up. You have another question, or it's still up because it was up?
Sorry, I had forgot to lower the hand. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else with a question? Now we can move. If there are no questions, we can move forward to. We can move on to the social justice part uh of our webinar, which will close the discussion very soon. I will start with you, Boris, again. Um, how much have you done, and what have you done as a Zinasu MSU chapter in ensuring that you fight for social justice? And what is your understanding with regards to the national crisis in Zimbabwe, and also how it affects social justice, and particularly how it affects you in the life of a student? Boris. Comrade Boris, are you still there?
Hello, can you hear me, Secretary General? Can you hear
I
me?
can hear. Please proceed. Did you hear the question?
Okay, I would like to say we have done quite a number of things to make sure that we fight for social justice at the Miller State University. Number one, I think we talked about the segregation of the sons and daughters of the poor, whereby we are standing in solidarity with all the unregistered students to make sure that they access, of course, education, even if they do not pay, they are yet to pay fees. We have engaged the administration on various occasions. I think, firstly, early last year in December, we tried to engage the Student Representative Council, the SRC. But I would like to tell you, Comrade Secretary General and the fellow compatriots here, that we have one of the most useless SRCs in this country. They could not help us, and we moved on to engage with the administration on our own, and we have been making a lot of progress. I think we made quite a number of fruitful discussions with the dean, including the extension of the registration period, which was made with 19 days. I think the Comrade Secretary General, we are also aware that the administration extended the registration period with 19 days. So those are some of the things that we are doing to make sure that we fight for social justice at the Middle State University.
Okay, I would pose the same question to you, Comrade Ronald. Comrade Ronald, are you there? Comrade Ronald. Ronald, it seems he is disconnected. Panache, are you there? Panache
Can you
Dandira.
question again?
Yes. How far have you gone as Zinasu Buse chapter in fighting for social justice?
Hello.
In
All right.
fighting for in fighting for social justice at institutional level and even in addressing the national crisis?
First and foremost, my understanding of social justice is that there should be equality. People should have equal access to opportunity, health, well-being, and there should be justice. Well, equality and access to opportunity will never be equal in society. But then, is the Bruce chapter, we've first and foremost we've advocated towards the ability of students to register without paying full fees, because initially our university used to say that you can't register without payment of full fees, but we've been able to push through for there to be the ability to register after paying a certain percentage of the fees. And then in terms of e-learning, we've also been pushing through the usage of methods that all students can access. And then also generally, we've been encouraging students to share material. Some students who can't access Google Classrooms can get the information from other students. Yeah. I'm done. Are you there?
Yes, I'm very much there. Are you done?
Yes.
I would like to ask Comrade Ronald. It seems he has serious network challenges. So, in as far as teachers' colleges are concerned, I would rather go back to Comrade Kelly, who seems to be clear with a network. Comrade Kelly, are you there?
Yes, I'm right here. Thank you.
What have you been doing at Mutare Polytechnic in ensuring that there is social justice both at institutional level and in addressing the national question?
Okay, first and foremost, I'm going to be honest. We are afraid of being arrested, right? But there's so many ways that we could go about this. The ways that I've actually known that they're actually becoming critical to us is being able to spot demonstrations at Mutare Polytechnic through certain platforms such as debate, which I've joined at Mutare Polytechnic, right? And then being able to give other people topics when it comes to public speaking or when it comes to debate issues, when in terms of the gender, sexes, feminism, or rape or abuse. Then the second thing that I've actually been doing is using my WhatsApp platform, sharing statuses that have to do with education, with educating people on social injustice. Then also group participations, right? Sending messages for educational purposes, and then also using my pictures for sorry, and also using my pictures to depict social injustice, right? And then I also believe that my life itself actually helps other young women knowing that you can be black and this does not stop you in any way. You can be black and educated, and at the same time you can become an entrepreneur as well. Hello?
Okay, are you done, Comrade Kelly?
Yes, I'm done.
Comrade Christine, you have been having network challenges. Can we involve you in this discussion if you now have better network? Is Christine there?
Hello, SG.
Comrade Ino. Comrade Ronald.
Chiriga.
Hello, Comrade Ronald. Can you?
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, Comrade Ronald.
Apologies, my network is up and down. Okay.
Okay.
So
Now,
basically, like I said, most of hello.
yes, please proceed.
Can you hear me?
Please continue.
Okay. So like I had highlighted before, you know, most of the teaching fraternity, if I can say that, has been held mostly, you know, under the historic, you know, the historical aspects of our nation, in terms of the freedoms of expression and issues to do with asking for what you deserve, or what should be given unto you but is not given by the authorities. And what I have seen, I think my fellow Kelly would agree with me. When you consider the divide between the universities and the rest of the tertiary sector, it seems it's all part of the system. When you get to a polytechnic or you get to a teachers college, it is pretty much the same as having a high school, until,
Yes, true.
and I think it still happens, even with some of our state apparatus, the police, they do whatever they want how do I put this? They do whatever they want, even in the ghetto. Why? Because they are basing on the fact that generally, historically, people always tremble when they see the police. Instead of having that appreciation that the police are there to take care of them, everyone sees a police officer and they are afraid, even if they haven't done anything, until somebody stands up and questions, officer, this nature of arrest, it's illegal. The moment you do that, you claim or you take back what is due to you, or the respect and dignity that is due to you. So I think if we consider that aspect, that is where we have tried to come in, as the younger generation, where we just tell ourselves that, at a certain point, I'm young, and I don't think I have very much to lose. And because I appreciate what the law says, yes, we might have issues, with how the justice and service delivery might be, but I know what the statutes or the regulations that govern the college should be, or the statutes that govern the country should be. So we have tried, but on a personal level, even with my stream, I think it was one of the few cases where you would have, a student leader and the principal, you would find them walking down, the corridors, or just even having, a social discussion, be it, around college, or be it around his office, something like that. It is because we went through with my team, and we stated what we wanted, what we felt, and we were given that respect. Because at a certain point, like what we are doing, I think you mentioned it with the minister, at a certain point, there's the authorities, they have so much to do, or they feel they have so much to do. And if you do not, get onto their case and pester them and push them, then your issue is not seemingly a priority. So they just let it be. So I think we have tried, as young people, to try and inspire the rest of us, the rest of our student body, to say, no, guys, even if the principal comes and says we are having, a meeting with the rest of the student body, feel free to ask. It's a dialogue, but the moment you take the story, the history, and based on that, it means you don't express yourself. And at a certain point, you might judge them unfairly when say, they we are afraid of them, or not, whilst they also still basing with on the history, where they know that whatever they say goes. But if you then stand up and question some of those things, I've seen that, we get headway, we move, and you earn the respect, and you take back your dignity. And at institutional level, thus far, we have tried to do that, to try and break the barrier where we're saying, no, when we have the dean's office, it's not really taking the role of the senior master or senior mistress on us. The education has changed, the moment we're in tertiary and high school, it's changed. We need to make decisions collectively, holistically, that mean says its part, we say our part, and we find common ground. And when we took it up, with the dean's office, with the principal's office, we found that, we made headway, and so far I'm satisfied. Unfortunately, because at a certain point you need to leave the system, um, but we still hope that those that we are communicating with, that we are still talking to, they understand and appreciate that nothing comes for free, because where we are, you just need to stand up and claim your right and take back your dignity and your privilege. So now, you'll find that even the exams, they threaten you. If you're not fully paid, you can't write your exams. But at the end of the day, they then realize that to what extent, because the law says, we are all, it's our right to be educated. They know that. And that is why they threaten us, and up to a certain point, they open their portals, because they know if you then fail to write and you take it up with the authorities, then they are in trouble. So I think we also, as individuals, as the students in this, we need to know what is due to us, and then we take it up, we claim it, and that way, we know that, there's harassment. You can just write a letter
Comrade,
to the minister.
Comrade Ronald, Comrade
Yes.
Ronald, I think we will need you back on this program next week because what you're saying is profound, deep. It goes deep in.
Thank you, Honorable.
Our time is not exactly permitting us to do that. I think
Not not
we
a,
need
not
to
not
move.
not a problem. Not a problem.
I think we need
Yes,
to
we
seek
can
for
move on.
contributions and questions from our participants in here before we close.
It's okay.
Okay, we can seek for questions. Comrade Lesanio, I thought I saw your hand up. Does there exist any questions or contributions with regards to how far we are going in institutions as a students union and as students in general in making sure that we stand up, we speak out, and we speak up, particularly with issues around academic freedom and the affordability and accessibility of education?
Hello, SG.
Yes, Ronald, please proceed. You said something?
Okay. So I, you know what? Like I've been saying, there seems to be a certain aspect. I don't know where it's coming from. Even the respect that the ministry gives. So I'll tell you the classic example of the polytechnics and the teachers' college. As of last year, the final year group was supposed to be they were supposed to be we were supposed to be finishing last year, right? Around October, November. So we couldn't do that because obviously of COVID. Now, I think a week or so before college was supposed to be opened, we were shocked to then receive, um, unilateral, or I don't know where the figures came from, but we saw circulars saying the fees had been increased. So you'll find that an average of between 3 to 6,000 has now come up to an average of between 20 and 40,000 RTGS. And we're saying we are within a crisis. We are within COVID. We're trying to deal with a whole lot of stuff, be it at home, the issues of data, the issues of trying to stay safe, even the basic psychology and mental state, of our parents. And
Comrade Ronald, we could spend the entire day. Comrade Moyomuti,
it's okay,
can you,
it's okay, Chirika, it's okay.
Moyomuti, your hand is up, please.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. I think one of the key things that we have to focus on is to conscientize the student of their rights. Because what we see here is just a handful of people like you and I who are really sure of what the right to education really entails. So what we see from the majority is reluctant people and ignorant people. So the moment we educate the people of their rights, then they can demand their rights. Because what they see when us or people like you and I begin to stand up for rights are people maybe who are saying or stuff like that, not knowing that we're actually fighting for their rights. It's not that these people are not facing the same problems that we're highlighting here, but they don't know they have the power to demand those rights from the authorities. So it is now up to us to educate the people of their ability to actually come and demand what the Constitution gives them, and demand that without fear or favor. So I think we have a long way to go to educate the student of their rights. From then on, we can make sure that their pleas are heard.
Thank you. I would be doing injustice if I were to add anything to that. That is profound. Panache, your hand has been up for a long time.
All right. I meant to say that yes, from my comprehension of this webinar, I've understood that most students are not comfortable with online learning. But then I feel like as student representatives, we are too reluctant. Maybe it's because you're on lockdown and all that, but I feel like we're not really standing up for the rights of the students. We're not really standing up for the students for their interests. And I feel like something should be done, and we should work on that. We should work on representing students, and we should work on having the applied head.
Okay, thank you very much, Panache. I think every student leader in here is hearing that. Let us make sure that number one, we are knowledgeable about the things that we fight for. Number two, let us make sure that we truly and effectively represent our constituencies, particularly those from the student representative councils from SRCs. Wusi, so I can see your hand is up. Wusiso Kanye, I can see your hand is up. Please proceed. I think your hand is up by mistake, Oroshi. Wusiso, can you speak up? Wusiso, would you please type? We cannot hear anything.
Hello, can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. Yes, please proceed.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Please proceed.
Can you hear? Okay. I was saying on the issue of our rights, at Great Zimbabwe at a certain year, it was 2017, I think, we were faced by suspension of a certain student was by the name of Kudakwashi. He was suspended for 1 year. And it was an issue of exercising rights. He was planning a protest, and then he was then accused of inciting violence. This is what we're facing, I think, in most of the institutions here in Zimbabwe. We are told we have rights, but we cannot exercise them. We cannot speak out. The minute you speak out or tell the rest of the people to speak out so you can stand in solidarity, they say you are inciting violence, you are locked up, you are suspended. These are issues that we're facing, of which I don't really think the issue of academic freedom is really true and is really happening in Zimbabwe, since we have the president being the chancellor of all public universities. I don't really know how we should go about it, but the issue of academic freedom is in theory there, yes, but practically, no, we don't have that. Thank you.
And it is, of course, something that we stand up for, and we should make sure that it contains every inch of our fight. It should be in our fibers to fight for academic freedom each and every